probably up for like 5 more hours,
Yeah, yeah.
and then she like sleeps all day,
Maybe.
know.
All right. As just making sure we're up. We are. Hold on. What a nice. There we are. Okay, good. Oh, our beautiful faces on YouTube. All right. You're listening to MLVC, the Madonna podcast, your place for all things Madonna Louise Veronica Ciccone. I'm your celebration tour correspondent, Stefan. Today on the show, co-host Tony is joining us. Yay!
Hey guys, yeah, I saw Stefan in Brooklyn last night. It was a nice reunion. We haven't seen each other in a couple of years in person, and we also got to see someone else we know. Her name is Madonna.
Madonna, Madonna. So Tony's back in Brooklyn, and you just walked there. Like you didn't even have far to go. It's just like Barclays is like your next door neighbor.
Yeah, my friend Vance that went to the show with me, he was coming from the East Village and he was running late. So I told him let's meet at a restaurant across from Barclays. I walked to see him. We finished eating around 9:30, walked to the show, and then like Madonna started.
Yeah, you cut it close. I was
Yeah.
there when they opened, and I was like, I wonder when Tony's gonna get here.
Yeah.
And like when I texted you, I'm like, where are you? And you were like, oh, we're at a restaurant. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, TikTok,
Yeah, I
TikTok.
mean we went to eat Korean and they kept bringing us more food, more food. And I for the first time I wasn't really concerned or nervous because we were literally across the street. It was just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
crossing the street light. But yeah, once we got there, I mean it was very easy. It was a very like effortless getting into the venue, and there was no bottlenecking, there was no lines. It was good. I mean, how do you compare that to like seeing her in Europe?
So a night and day. I mean, the queuing in Paris was awful. I mean, it was like lines wrapping around, like it was awful. I waited for hours to get into the venue. It was terrible. Barclays, I got there at 7:15. I was inside by 7:30,
Hmm.
and it was just easy, like, and I think that's the first show I've ever seen at Barclays
Oh, okay.
because um I was impressed at how tiny it felt inside. Like
Yeah.
it's a tall building, so it's steep if you're
Mhm.
upstairs, but like the floor in Paris, from like the end of that middle catwalk to the end of the end where the first level starts in Paris was enormous.
Yeah.
Whereas in Barclays, it was like the end of that catwalk, 10 rows of
Hmm.
seats, the sound booth, and then the first level started. So I
Yeah.
was I was first level behind the sound booth. And I was like, oh, this view is amazing. Like it was really, really good. And you were right up behind me. I saw.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I finally saw you right when the lights were going down. And no, I love Barclays. I saw Rebel Heart there, and I think I had the same seats that you had, and
Uh-huh.
they were perfect. I mean it's a basketball arena, but it's also smaller, a bit smaller than MSG.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, it was perfect. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, obviously I'd seen the some of the videos from opening night, and I did write the set list down, but I hadn't really looked at it since then, and I was surprised in many different places. It was really
Hmm.
cool. It was
So let's walk through the show. So what'd you think of the opener?
Oh, I love yeah, what Bob did was really cool. I love how the whole show was framed, as like a biographical
Hmm.
archival journey through Madonna's life. And a lot of it was very New York centric, which made the show very I don't know, it just made it feel very like local, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't know how it translates in other cities, but I've since I saw Drowned World in New York City, I've always loved seeing Madonna in Manhattan or in Brooklyn because she really loves coming back here and she has a lot to say about it, and the audience gives it right back to her. And
Yeah.
I don't think I've experienced that kind of response in other cities, even though, like for example, I saw Sticky and Sweet in Atlantic City and it was like blah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love a homecoming for Madonna in New York, and this was no exception. And yeah, I mean, if she ever comes back, I mean, in another tour or whatever, I will definitely always make a point to see her in New York. That being said, I do want to go see her at Madison Square Garden in January if it's possible.
Yeah, well, so like I was telling, I don't forget if I said this on the show. Like my ticket, I found. So the show was last night on Saturday. I found my ticket on Monday. It was
Yeah,
not a resale ticket. It was a legit Ticketmaster ticket, regular priced, $200, and it was
yeah,
a perfect floor seat, and I had a great view. And so I encourage people, if you want to go see one of the shows, you don't have a ticket, wait till the week before the show and start watching every day on Ticketmaster, and some of the prices start to go down. I mean, there
yeah,
were still a couple tickets. Matt Carty, one of our listeners who was visiting from Dubai, uh, him and I rode to the venue together last night, and he was up in the 200 levels, but he was considering possibly doing a closer seat. And there was one seat here or there that you could still get, and
yeah.
he didn't do it in the end, but it's possible. Like those seats are open, they're there.
Yeah, when I was walking up to Barclays, the box office was open and people were buying seats.
Yeah.
Um, Also, when I was at the pop-up shop on Thursday, I met a fan who had this, he was from another country and he was looking at this app called Game Time.
Uh,
And he was showing me, I mean, I was looking at it and there were seats in the floor for like $300.
yeah.
So I think if you do your due diligence, you'll be able to get in if you already.
Right. Like if you want to go and you don't have
Yeah,
a ticket already,
yeah.
like I think there's people panicked that they didn't get their tickets, and it's like, no, you can still do it.
Yeah, especially day of. I mean, I there were a lot of people I saw yesterday and spoke to that bought their tickets the day of, had good
Mhm.
seats, and yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna try to do going forward.
Yeah, I mean the MSG, it's tough because those are like weekday shows. So like if you're not local like myself anymore, it's tough to
Hmm.
do it. But so what did you think overall of the show? What were some of your standouts from the show?
I was really surprised. You know, I like I said, I kind of knew what to expect, but at the same time, being there is a different story.
Yeah.
And I thought, I mean, obviously there were moments where Madonna wasn't moving the way that we are used to seeing her move, or maybe she didn't hit some of the notes. But um, once you overlook these things, not necessarily overlook, but once you kind of like, just go with the flow, this is a really good show. I mean, the choreography is unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this in a
Yeah.
Madonna show. And it has nothing to do with her dancing or not dancing. I mean, people need to get that out of their heads. It's a different kind of a show. Like I said, it's a biographical journey through her life, and she's, showing you what happened in different ways,
Hmm.
uh, you know, throughout the show. And I, some of the parts that I thought were going to be like mind blowing, I completely loved, but at the same time, I really liked, even though I'm not a huge fan of the costume, I really liked the section where she's dressed as a cowgirl. I thought
Uh-huh.
that was very affecting. Its heart was in the right place, and it was very moving. Also, when she comes out in the silver spacesuit
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she's got the long hair, that was incredible. That was so cool. The music sounded amazing. It was mixed in the way that we have always wanted to hear these songs. They didn't deviate too far from the original versions, and when they did, it was probably better, you know?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I thought it was a great show. I thought it was, this is what Madonna really wanted to like show her fans, as, when she was talking about the biopic and, taking a journey back in time. I think this is what came out of all that. I told you last night. I mean, I remember, when she did Reinvention, and that was supposed to be kind of like a review of her career. She didn't hit all these emotional notes in
No.
Reinvention. Reinvention, in comparison, seems very cold and distant, and this is. this is the show of her career, I would say, you know.
Yeah, I
I
think
would put it up there with Blonde Ambition as far as like all the effort and ambition and just like care and artistry
mhm.
that's been put into every number. It's really great.
Yeah, I think you're right with like reinvention, although that is a greatest hits show, quote unquote. I think it seems more of like here's a single, here's another single, here's
Yeah.
another single. Like there's no overarching theme to it, whereas Celebration, there's a story, there's a through line,
Yeah.
which is a direct correlation to what she did with Blonde Ambition. You know, like I think those
Yeah.
are very sister shows in terms of how there's like she is telling this story. And I think Celebration, it's a bit more literal story.
Yeah.
It's a story of her career over the last 40 years. But yeah, I agree. And yeah, the choreography, I mean, what were some of like, was there a moment where you were like, wow, this chore, because I can tell you one specific moment where like after seeing the show for the third time, I'm like, this choreography is fire. But I want to hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, the Ray of Light choreography is incredible. That was one thing that I could not take my eyes off. Like she
The
was fly
dancer group,
yeah,
like the dance.
she was flying above, but I was looking at the dancers, you know. You know, in Into the Groove and I Want Your Love, that was brilliant. That whole section, I mean, they were just giving it to you, you know.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and also Bedtime Story, yeah, just
Is that
throughout.
fun? Is that
Yeah,
fun how they do that?
yeah. But what did you think?
Oh, I remember the first when I first saw it in Paris, I said this before, Justify My Love did nothing for me. But then I think when I saw it further away, and then I think it's seeing Justify My Love from an elevated perspective, you appreciate it more. Like I think there's something with the juxtaposition of being able to see the choreography and the screen directly
Yeah.
behind it, because then you can sort of see what they're doing. I think when I was on the floor the first time, I was a little too down, so I couldn't appreciate the screen behind them. Uh,
Uh-huh.
but it's fun how they're like the eye pops up on the screen, and then the choreography morphs into the pupil, and so like
Hmm.
it's fun, so fantastic
Yeah,
watching.
that was another moment that I was like, I my friend was talking to me and I was like, I am hypnotized right now. I cannot take my eyes off the screen. And this remix is incredible. And
It's so good. It's so
yeah,
good.
and yeah, it's like a Busby Berkeley choreography. It's all there. And yeah, you do have to see it kind of like away from the floor. But yeah, that I mean, it was inspired. I mean, it's Damien Gele who does all the choreography for this show, correct?
And Lahore is brought in. I think
Yeah.
Lahore did Justify My Love. I think I might get that wrong, but
Yeah, but I love the way it looks and feels. It's a departure from her previous choreography where it was more like line dances and group dances, and this is more like everyone's kind of like I don't know, they're just yeah, I have no words. It's really good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Hold on. I'm going into the chat for a second since
Hmm.
let's say everyone's saying hi and such a transcendent show last night. Pure joy. Oh, fellow Ben co-host. We could have had Ben on the show. He's
Yeah.
watching today. Um, let's see. Any idea why the US shows have less back and pre-recorded vocals? Well, I she definitely was singing live. And actually, I'm very happy that she's getting some rest after the next two shows. So she's doing Monday and Tuesday in DC, and then she's done until I believe January 8th, I think is
Oh.
her next show. So she's thankfully, I think, gonna have a little bit of vocal rest because she sounded a little raspy on
Yeah,
some
and
parts.
in a couple of parts she did, but then um like for example when she did Crazy for You, she sounded really good.
Yeah, I think
Um
it's song dependent. Some of the
yeah.
songs I was like, her voice is sounding a little because she's screaming, like
Yeah.
during the show, she's also screaming at the fans, like, come on, New York.
Yeah.
Or she's, when she's jamming out to I Love New York, she's really belting that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, then all of a sudden she'd turn around and do Crazy for You, and it would sound flawless.
Yeah, and Bad Girl sounded great too. I did notice I this was just me, you know, but I noticed that they took out that bridge in Rain where the notes go higher. but it's fine because we don't need that, you know. We need her to
Yeah.
like, we need her to kind of like create a moment, and you know, if you're gonna cut part of the song out, it's not gonna hurt anyone, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think. So, did you, was there anything in the show that you felt she should have done versus what she did do? Like, was there something that you were like, oh, I really missed this? Or,
No, not at all. Because, you know, for example, there were songs that we got in other shows, you know, like Express Yourself or whatever. You know what? I can't even think of anything that was missing other than really that. But I yeah, I think it was a really good set list. It was a set list that we all love because there are songs that we got, you know, like when Die Another Day came out, I was like, "Oh my God, we got this too," you know?
yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, you know, it's telling a story, but it's also songs that we've wanted to hear on stage live. I really think it's really well done. It doesn't need anything, and it's not missing
Mm.
anything, you know.
Oh, okay, good. Was there something that you felt she included that you were like, I don't know if we needed this in the show?
Um, Maybe the Michael Jackson part. I thought maybe that may have run too long. I mean, it was great. That was probably the only time I sat down.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, because it was funny because, you know, there's photos of her and Michael Jackson, you know, on the screen while this is happening, but those photos are all from the same day. So from the rehearsal at the Oscars and then from the Oscar night.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, so I mean, that doesn't, you know, one day's worth of photographs does not a relationship make. However, it was cute. I would have loved to. I mean, here I am, like, what, you know, this is what you should have done. But if there had been more of an interpolation, like when she did like a Virgin in the Virgin tour, that
Yeah.
that would have been cool. But I mean, it was cool. It wasn't bad, you know, and it wasn't a waste of time. It was just I was just laughing because I'm like, yeah, those are all photos from the same day.
Yeah. I mean, it was the crowd, the three shows that I've seen it now, the crowd responds to that. So
Yeah,
it's interesting. But I think they think it's going to dive back into the 80s. Like, I think they think that interlude is then going to become an entire section.
yeah,
For
yeah,
people
yeah,
that might not have seen the show, they think, oh, we're going back to the 80s. And like, now she's going to do Borderline and Lucky Star. And, like, we're going to get those. And honestly, again, I've said this, hearing that snippet of Angel was such a tease because
yeah, yeah,
I'm like, oh God, come out and sing Angel. What a highlight, and like maybe Angel morphs into a medley, a quick hit of
yeah.
those 80s songs, maybe some 90s songs that we didn't get on the show. And then, you know, it launches into Bitch I'm Madonna. But again, yeah, no complaints. Like
No, no
I mean, I
complaints.
love the show. I think I've loved it more now after seeing it again, and her energy was definitely through the roof last night. She was so happy to be home.
Hmm.
Like you can tell the audience was giving her so much energy and she was great. She loved it, you
Yeah,
could
no,
tell.
I think yeah, I could tell from the few clips that I've seen, I could tell that, you know, her mood was different. I think maybe they just have a lot less hoops to jump through in the US
Yeah.
as a crew, as a team, as a tour. I there must be a lot of bureaucracy in Europe, you know, with curfews
Mm.
and
Yeah,
blah
yeah,
blah
yeah.
blah. But yeah, I mean, she's like back, you know, and
Hmm.
um yeah, I mean, I a lot of people were like, "Oh, there's no encores and it ends abruptly," but maybe it does, but it ends when it needs to end, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I kind of like Bitch I'm Madonna. Her behavior is so funny. How she's like doing all those goofy faces, and
Yeah.
she's just having a silly fun. And I was like, it's funny to watch her. I just was marveling at it again last night, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's a fun show. There's some really poignant moments. There's some really fun, upbeat, crowd-friendly moments, um, and beautiful moments. Like just
Yeah.
I being able to watch from further away, you're able to really appreciate like the light show is fantastic. The
Oh yeah.
lasers on Die Another Day, the lasers on Ray of Light, like just
Hmm.
the lighting is so big and immense and beautiful and all. Did you notice the lighting that's happening on the stage itself?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
And then the fire, it got really hot
Oh
in
my God.
Barclays. But yeah, no, it's one of her, like I told you a couple times. I mean, it's like what I think what might be one of her most fully realized tours.
Yeah.
And the funny part is that it feels like it only took like 6 months to put it together, right?
Yeah. I mean, she put work into it, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, it's interesting. I love that I mean, I'm curious to know like what it would have been like had the reschedule never happened. Like I wonder like what changed, what didn't change, but
It
um
probably would have been very like fuck you audience, and very like cocky and
possible. Yeah, you never know.
how she is, or something like Drowned World where she barely talks to the audience,
Yeah.
you know. But
Oh, speaking of talking to the audience, so I loved during her one speech where she was saying, I think it was the second speech, right around "Don't Tell Me," where she was talking about how she's like, "I'm a nice person." She's like, "I'm not a diva," and then she paused and she's like, "Well, there might have been a couple diva moments in the
in the
'90s," and
90s,
I was like,
yeah.
I was laughing. I was like, "God bless her for recognizing that."
No, she was very human when she spoke. Like it didn't feel like artificial at all, and
Yeah,
like my friend kept pointing out, he was like every time that she'd be like laughing or smiling, he's like, I love it when she's happy and you can tell she's having so much fun. And I was like, that's the Madonna that the fans really want to see, and those moments where she talks to the audience like that and she's like, do you want me to stop? And everyone's like, no. I mean, I for me it was like I also said to my friend, I was like, I just love hearing her voice. I just love
yeah.
hearing her talk and being in the same room with her. It's just
Mhm.
there you can't put a word on that anymore. I mean, I don't have a word to describe that anymore. It's like when you go back to see Madonna and you're in the venue, it's like a whole nother feeling,
Yeah, it was
especially
actually.
for some of us that have been doing this for what, 30 plus years.
Yeah, oh yeah, so somebody just mentioned what about her calling out Andy Cohen? So I wanted to talk about that because so
Okay.
apparently Andy Cohen was from Bravo, if anyone doesn't know who Andy Cohen is, although the Real Housewives creator. He was in the front row in front of the end of the catwalk. And there was a moment around the Don't Tell Me section where she has the speech that she called out Andy Cohen. She's like, you better say nice things about me on your show. And because she was like pointing out to him, and I was like, you know what? That's true. Here he is, trash talking her on his show,
Hmm.
and then showing up front row in New York as if he's this big super fan. And I'm like, dude, don't trash talk her. I
Yeah.
mean, ridiculous trash talk on your show. Don't do that on your
Yeah.
show. And then do FaceTime as if nothing's transpired, as if you're like the biggest fan and loving her nonstop.
Yeah, I have to say I don't listen to his radio show anymore and I don't watch Bravo anymore, so I don't know what he's saying, but I can only imagine, I mean, he does have a kind of a pointed you know, I don't know, turn of phrase with her and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that she won't go on his show.
Exactly. I do too. I think he's pissed that he can't get her on Bravo
Hmm.
because he wants to, be known for interviewing everybody.
Yeah.
And so he's pissed, but it still shows up front row to be like, oh, I know I've slagged you off on my show, but I love you, Madonna. It's just so disingenuous.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad that he wasn't the Vogue judge. Who was the Vogue judge?
So somebody told me, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
I heard her say it when they came up on the stage. If somebody
Hmm.
knows in the chat, drop it. But I forget who it was. But yeah, I was glad it wasn't Andy Cohen either. She wouldn't have done that.
No, no. No,
She
I mean,
knows.
it's funny because I asked my friend like 5 different times through a song, who is that? And he's like, I don't know. Because, it had to have been someone New York, a New York local, someone who's,
Yeah,
kind of,
I think it was a musician, but
yeah.
I'm not quite sure. Yeah, apparently Carlos Leon was there last night. Scarlett
Hmm.
Johansson was there last night. Um, Michelle is saying taunt touchdown, Tony touchdown. I don't know who Tony touchdown. Who is Tony touchdown, Michelle? I assume a musician because he's a rapper. Yeah, that's what I figured. Thank you. Gotta
Well,
love
there goes my
instantaneous
new,
answers.
yeah. there goes my new nickname.
That's your new nickname. Yeah, Tony Touchdown. There we go.
But yeah, I mean, I like I said, I'm going to see her again in San Francisco, but I really want, and I'm going to be up higher there too, which will be
Mm-hmm.
interesting. It's fine. But yeah, I am curious to maybe see it again if possible at Madison Square Garden, maybe in the same kind of level that I was at before. I don't need to be,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this advanced age, I don't really need to be on the floor. I'm not clout
I
chasing,
honestly,
you
Tony, I
know?
thought about that. I was like, I mean, I'm in the pit in DC on
Uh-huh.
Tuesday, and I'm prepared for that because I can't wait to be up close. But I
Yeah.
gotta say, I enjoyed being able to have a seat. I'm like
Yeah.
my lower back, my herniated discs in my lower back, they were like, I'm going to sit during this interlude because I've seen this interlude already. And I was like, ah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I I used to get really bad FOMO going to see Madonna if I didn't have like the best seats up in the front.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
I was like, no, this is good. I mean, and like you said, I mean, the show is almost designed to be seen from a distance,
yeah,
not necessarily from the pit or the floor. Um, I mean, I know that she doesn't necessarily go down the same catwalk each time, so there are different points of view. Also, on each section of the arena, there are video screens that are specific to each side, which
yeah.
is which is great. You're not going to miss anything. You really aren't.
Yeah, it's this it would be a fantastic show if they had like a traveling ticket where you could like somehow orchestrate it where like you could follow her from stage to stage. Like that would be
Ugh.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
But
Tony's yawning. Tony's tired
no,
today.
you guys, I'm so tired. I got home, even though I walked home, I got home and then I had to like, make phone calls and oh, Madonna,
You have to do your report your like, tell your friends what you just did and
well, people are asking, they want to know, like, how was it? Because I have one friend who told me it's like, well, your opinion of the show is what's gonna lead me to buy a ticket or not. I was like, oh, don't put
hmm.
that kind of pressure on me. Like, just see for yourself.
Yeah. So there was two women, two friends. I thought they were I thought I was like, oh, are they together? And then they mentioned their husbands. So they weren't. They left their husbands at home, which I thought was funny. But they the one woman who was sitting next to me had not seen Madonna live since Girly Show in '93.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, wow, that's a long time to not have seen Madonna. So I thought it was interesting that this show got her back
Yeah.
to see Madonna in the stadium. And after the show was over, because her and her friend were very quiet. Like they weren't singing. I didn't really see them dancing. They were sitting occasionally during some songs.
Hmm.
And I mean, I was not. The only time I sat was during an interlude. Otherwise, I was like up. I felt
Yeah.
bad. The couple behind me, this older couple, sat the entire show. I'm like, well, how did they even see? I'm like, I'm tall. How did they see around me? But I didn't. I was like, sorry.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too. And I years ago I went to see Barbara Streisand at Barclays, and that was a strictly sit down set. And
Right.
I wanted to go around. I was like, this ain't Barbara, people.
But when the show was over, I turned to the woman next to me and I was like, "Did you enjoy the show?" And she's like, "It was amazing. I loved it."
Yeah.
And I felt good knowing that somebody who had taken 30 years of not seeing Madonna live actually was able to come back and enjoy the show.
Yeah, and Madonna wasn't courting younger fans. This was like a show for her actual lifelong fans. There were so
What?
there were so many musical references, like in the beginning when there's these sound effects and you're like you realize, oh, that's Lucky Star.
Yeah,
And little things like that are kind of, I mean, I hate the phrase Easter eggs, but we got those in spades.
totally. Yeah.
But yeah, just another comment. I texted my friend when I left. It was like overheard in Brooklyn. As soon as I'm crossing the street, this loudmouth, drunk Brooklyn guy's like, "Yeah," he's on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, the show was fucking awesome. It was just as good as no, it's actually." It wasn't as good, but it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the Taylor Swift Eras tour, and I gave him this dirty look, like, no, not on my street.
Oh, so I want to say to everyone who stopped me last night. Listeners from all over the place were snagging me left and right, saying hello. I want to say thank you for stopping me and saying hi. For all the people who took pictures with me and whatnot. I mean, like it was so much fun meeting up with everybody. I don't know if you saw Abdi was there with his husband and their two kids.
Oh no, I barely saw anyone until I saw all you guys at the end,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So Abdi was there, and then who else did I run into that? Well, I just was so fascinated by the fact that like there were actually like not young children, but like 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kids were
Hmm.
there. Like I saw, and I was like, my one friend, him and his husband, they were like, this is such an interesting audience. Like they couldn't put a finger on it. And I was like, Madonna makes the people come together. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
diverse. I mean, there was people who were older than us and in their teens. Like the audience diversity was really fascinating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there, like, and there were a lot of women there, which you didn't really see a lot of that during Madam X. Madam X was very like
Yeah.
specific, but
Hmm.
there were, like the women you described, seeing Madonna shows in New York since 90, since 2001, I know that she's got that core Long Island, New Jersey former mall girl audience,
Yeah.
that she kind of lost favor with, and I think that a lot of them were back last night, and they
Hmm.
they got babysitters and they left the husbands at home and they came out to see Madonna, and it was great because it was like, hi, we're in our 20s again kind of thing.
Yeah, so there was a guy and his wife were directly in front of me, and the guy was like texting his friends. They were I was able to see his phone because it was so bright in the dark, and every time he'd pull it out, it would be like this bright shiny light, and I'd look down. He was on a text loop with like three of his buddies, and so he texted his friends when hung up onto Keisha happened and like everyone was without their shirts. And so he texted his friends, uh-oh, titty alert. And I was like, oh, for God's sake. And he like the one friend messaged him back, oh, is it like how pornographic is it? And the guy wrote back, just PG-13. And then the friends wrote back like, is she, like did she the one friend was like, not like a virgin anymore. And then the guy wrote back, I'm waiting for them to sing like a surgeon. And I was like, where are we? What
I
who are you right now, sir?
Apparently an amateur comedian was inserted into the audience
I
at a
know. I was
Madonna
like,
show.
this is the saddest text loop. I'm like, it was such a window into like the heterosexual male text loop
Yeah,
of like,
yeah.
something I am not privy to.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But hey, there were a lot of like, like straight identifying guys there,
Yeah, with their wives,
with their
like it
wives
was date
and
night,
yeah.
which is cute, and I love that like they're getting dragged into it when they normally wouldn't to.
Hmm.
But that being said, an old boss of mine went on Wednesday, and her husband went with her, and she said her husband wants to go back. Like they were thinking maybe they'll go to Philly or DC because
Hmm.
they want to see the show again. So I was like, yeah,
Yeah, because
those
I
are the
mean,
smart people.
absolutely. I mean, in this show with the set list, also with just like the way that it's presented, it it invites new fans, it invites old fans like us, and it also, I mean, old fans like us, and then also, like people that haven't seen her in years or don't know
Yeah.
what she's done in years, I'm sure these are people that don't even know anything about MDNA, Rebel Heart, or
Yeah. And I mean, the cost of tickets these days for anybody is so
hmm
prohibitive. You have to be selective of who you're going to go to. My friend Colin and his husband Chris, they decided neither of them had ever seen Madonna in concert. I mean, they love Madonna. They love Madonna fans. They love Madonna songs and whatnot, but they had never ponied up the money to go. I think Chris had seen her at Yankee Stadium for MDNA. And he was like, as we know, because we saw it there, it's
it's terrible.
outdoor venues that sound just flew out. It was just terrible. It was a terrible venue for a show. And so they loved it. Like I went up to them after they were second row on the floor from the Open Your Heart catwalk,
Uh-huh.
and she was right in front of them. They, like, I mean, right in front of them. And I went up to them after the show and I was like, "So, what'd you think?" And Chris loved it. My friend Colin was like, "That was like," he's like, "I feel transformed." Like, he's like, "That was such a euphoric moment."
Yeah.
Uh, I think his gummy helped, but
No, it was. I mean, it was very positive. Even in like the sadder, darker spots,
yeah.
there's always a light at the end of Madonna's tunnel. Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
But yeah, I think overall, like I'm glad that she was able to hit New York as her first stop in the, North America, and I think it was great to sort of like help her. And I'll be curious to see what her energy's like in DC. Like the crowd versus New York. I mean, it's close enough where I think a lot of New York people are going to travel down
Yeah, yeah.
to see her in DC. So hopefully the pit will be a fun place to be, and um, I'm looking forward to like having the VIP experience. It's my one and only VIP experience of
Yeah,
the
I can't wait to hear all about it, like through your eyes. It'll be interesting because, when you see it on Instagram, it looks a certain way, but it's like I want to know like what it's like down there.
Yeah, I don't have immaculate VIP, so no stage behind the stage tour. I'm not going to be on the stage itself.
Hmm.
But I'll get to go in the VIP area and get some candy.
And well, you get to take a photo in that chaise like everyone else.
Though they had the chase. Did you see the chase? It was out. That
Oh no,
that
I
chase
didn't
is
see
not
it.
that chase is not in the VIP. That was actually on the other side of the venue. I had walked around twice.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
So yeah,
only
I
went to that
actually
one area.
Matt Carty and I took pictures on the chase, which was fun. Yeah, there were some great moments that you could like. There was posters all over the place, and like you could take some really fun pictures. And
Hmm.
it's a very Instagrammable show.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have to agree. And even though the merch is not very Instagrammable.
Oh, I was gonna say you've got some. So you got the hoodie. Is that all that you got, or did you get something
Well, no,
else?
I got this on Madonna.com back in September.
Oh,
Remember
oh, I
when they
thought you bought
started
it at the
selling
pop. I
them?
thought you bought it at the pop-up shop.
No, I actually the only thing I got at the pop-up shop was the Who's That Girl t-shirt. And then my friend asked me to buy him the shirt you're wearing, the
Dita, yes.
Dita, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like the girly show shirt as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I like the vintage tour shirts. They look cool, and they're
Yeah.
good.
How is the Who's That Girl t-shirt? I was thinking that's the only one that I was like, maybe, because I have an original girly show.
Yeah.
I have an original Who's That Girl t-shirt, but it's so tight on me now that I'm like, I can't wear this
No,
out.
it's really good. I washed it already and it feels even better.
Oh,
And
good.
yeah,
Okay.
it's like a good material. Like they're better than the Madam X rollout.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Yeah, and the bomber was back. Yes, for anyone wondering, the Blonde Ambition bomber jacket is back. It is now $100 more than it was online. So it was $250 on her online shop. The standard price is now $350. So you
Hmm.
have to pay. I did see a bunch of them though. Like people were wearing it all over the venue, and it's
Yeah.
it's perfect bomber jacket weather now. So if you're looking for a jacket to wear to the show, this is the jacket to wear.
And I did notice that, there were cameras everywhere around the stage. So, and also the way that the show looks with all the video installations, I don't know. I venture to say that this is being filmed for a film, for like an actual movie,
Yeah.
like Taylor Swift or Beyonce. I hope.
I
Be-
fingers crossed. I mean, it has
Yeah.
this, and I hope that I don't know if you saw. I didn't see Renaissance in theaters, but I saw clips of it online, and I am desperate for Madonna to film this tour film as epically beautiful as
Yeah.
Beyonce shot Renaissance. Like
Yeah, I'm
this
gonna see
tour,
Renaissance next week. But
this
yeah, I
tour
mean,
deserves that epic of a film. Like I want like 35 millimeter widescreen Dolby surround sound. I want like
mhm,
pristine, like no washed out graphic overlays. Like I just want it
right.
documented, very similar to how Jonas Åkerlund documented the Confessions tour, or how obviously Andrew Kashishian documented Truth or Dare. But like I want that as a full tour film because
Yeah.
it's gorgeous footage.
It deserves it. And plus, like all the archival footage, I can see that I can just see it. So hopefully that's the direction they're going in. I feel like that's probably the direction they're going in because
And I want the rumored documentary as well. Like I want a tour film, complete tour film, and a documentary.
okay,
So
calm down. You're gonna get one thing only. We know how this
and
works,
or
you know?
and yeah, we'll get like snippets of documentary
Hmm.
interspersed between the tour film. But I would love Truth or Dare 3.0, since I'm going to tell you a secret. So
Yeah.
I think she needs a trio of tour documentaries. It would just make sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, oh, and so I was looking for Guy Oseary. I did not see him. I did not see Stewart because I was right behind the sound booth. I did not see him before the show, but I saw him during the show. So Stewart's like,
Oh, okay.
he was there. I was trying to figure out a way that I could like go down and be like, Stewart, let's pose for a selfie. But I'm like, it's dark. This is not going to work out. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Well,
but yeah,
good eye because I can never tell where anyone is or I can't even, yeah, I'm like, oh, where is everyone?
yeah, he was. I couldn't see who was in the celebrity pit. Resident MLVC hairstylist Michelangelo was in the celebrity area. He called in a favor and was able to be right where Andy Cohen was and ScarJo and all those. So it was. I'll have to get some more name drops from him
Oh,
to
yeah, for
see who
sure.
else was there. Um, are you going to be resting for the rest of the day, Tony? Or
No, I have to go to work. Are you kidding me?
oh. Get that cup of coffee.
Yeah, yeah. No, I already had several this morning. But yeah, I'm like I said, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm transformed, but I'm definitely energized and very excited for this tour that we've speculated about for so long and seeing it
Yeah,
in person. It just shows you how much grit and determination this woman has, from someone who may have could have died 6 months ago,
yeah, I know it's crazy. It's crazy. Um, all right, well, that's our show for today, everybody. Remember, you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at MLVC Podcast. If you'd like to donate to the show, we're on Venmo at MLVC Podcast. If you've not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, click that subscribe button so you never miss a video. We'll be doing some more live broadcasts throughout the duration of the. So I'm still tired as well. Throughout the duration of the
Oh,
celebration tour. So make sure you click that subscribe button. Until next time, Tony, so great to see you again.
great to see you. Hopefully we'll see each other again at MSG in January.
Yeah, in person, we can party it down in the, hopefully that would be fantastic. But
Yeah, we can meet up before and have a couple of Red Bulls so we're not like dragging. But yeah, it was
uh,
great to see you last night and great to see all the people that I did get to meet. And yeah, I love going to see a Madonna show and getting to see everyone and just being around my people.
yeah, it's great.